You have provided here now for us who actually charted the incident. Let's take a look at this.
Well, in this case, the physical therapist documented that the patient fell to the floor with nursing when transferring. This was the only entry in the entire medical record that referred to the fall, and it was the physical therapist who was there who wrote what she saw, which is what she was supposed to do.
This also, when you talk about sometimes family members get upset if dad winds up, and again in the cases that I may just make reference to where there was a broken hip in one of the cases from falling, and then they come back to get the medical records and find out, my gosh, there's no notation of anything, we can't find anything here. That sort of is an example where someone other than maybe the person who was the personnel that was assisting the patient didn't or failed to provide a note. Let's talk about the detecting alterations, because I think this is perhaps a very interesting one. Go right ahead.
This was a case of a man who had surgery and received too much pain medication afterwards. The nurse taking care of him testified that she went in at 1900 hours to take his blood pressure, and she took his temperature, pulse, and respirations, and then started to take his blood pressure and stopped. But when she went back into the medical record, she changed the 9 to an 8, and she changed the 12 respirations to 18. This chart ended up being examined by a documents examiner who was able to verify that the numbers had been changed in an attempt to conceal the sequence of events.
Aimed at what? What is it that presumably that nurse, under those set of circumstances, what would be her motivation in making that change?
Well, I think she wanted to show that she had indeed seen the patient at 1800 hours, but instead the wife testified, who was at the bedside, that nobody came into his room during that time, nobody was checking on him. So she changed the numbers to make it look as if she had been there.
You've got situations where you're dealing with prescription drugs all the time, and yet there sometimes can be either, I guess, underdoses or overdoses of medicine, and you've provided us with an interesting one that'll pop up on the legal eye here. Here it is.
This was a potassium result of a baby who was in a neonatal nursery. The doctor ordered 3 milliequivalents of potassium chloride, which is a very strong, dangerous drug if given too much of. And the nurse gave 30 milliequivalents and didn't tell anyone that she had given this overdose. The child arrested or stopped breathing, and they took blood work, and then in the process of checking his potassium level found this very high level of 9.3 when the normal is 3.5 to 5.3. When the nurse was confronted, she did admit that she had given an overdose of potassium chloride. So that was an incident that was not documented at all in the medical record, but picked up by the lab work.
What can be the potential impact of an overdose of potassium, for example?
Well, potassium is one of the drugs that's used for legal executions. It stops the heart.
Really? That's serious stuff then.
It is, very.
Let's take a look at this chart and that you've shown us, and what is the usage of this?
Well, this actually was the same case. What we wanted to demonstrate was all the equipment that was surrounding this particular patient. By analyzing the medical record, we could put together this diagram so that the attorney would understand all of the equipment and how it was used in the recovery of this particular patient. So this is an example of how a nurse can take a medical record and then help the attorney by creating an image that will make it clear.
Well, not only will that assist the attorney, I think very clearly it would assist a jury, if it got to that, to understand the full ramifications of the medical equipment that was being used on that patient. And that's an excellent graphic. Let's go to the next one, and let me just ask the question, what is this showing?
Part of what I do is summarize medical records, and in the summary look at the problems that the patient experienced. We wanted to show in this one how much pain medication a patient received during a particular week of time. So every one of those symbols represents a dose of a medication. And when you put it in a graphic form, it becomes easier to understand the impact of what the patient had to receive in order to try to reduce pain.
Was that shown to be an accurate dosage? Just for example, that is very graphic and it is easy to understand in looking at it. Did that patient get the right dosage that he or she was requiring?
Yes.
Let's, good. Let's show one more here, and what is this?
Well, this shows again how we help with demonstrative evidence. In this case, it was totaling the amount of morphine that a particular patient required. This is an Excel chart with coloring in the background and in the foreground, which makes it easier to read than just looking at numbers or discussing total amounts of morphine that were needed.
They are very both easy to understand and very clear, really. We're talking to Pat Iyer, a legal nurse consultant, talking about medical records, the importance of them in any kind of a case where an injury has occurred. And we'll continue in just a moment here on the Common Law.
Welcome to MedLeague Support Services, New Jersey's most experienced legal nurse consulting firm. My name is Pat Iyer, and I'm the president of MedLeague. I'd like to give you a brief overview of our services and introduce myself and the staff. I'll end by letting you know how you can contact us. Since 1989, MedLeague has been helping attorneys like you with medical malpractice and personal and bodily injury cases. We use our expertise to give you a clear view of the merits of a case from a medical perspective. We also summarize complex medical records, distilling key information. In addition, we translate technical medical terminology into familiar language. Our work assists you in evaluating the strengths and weaknesses of the case. We offer a variety of services to attorneys working on medical-related cases. For example, our board-certified physician screens medical malpractice cases for merit. This helps plaintiff attorneys make informed decisions about whether or not to take a case. We also locate well-qualified medical expert witnesses. We utilize over a decade of experience to carefully select the most appropriate expert for a particular case. Our experts review cases and are ready to testify as needed. Attorneys and claims adjusters rely on our services when determining the validity of personal injury and bodily injury claims. We locate and analyze key pieces of data from the medical records. This helps avoid surprises in the courtroom. We also summarize medical records. Our reports include timelines and appropriate illustrations. For example, in personal or bodily injury cases, our reports focus on both the injuries and pre-existing conditions. These medical summaries highlight important details about the medical aspects of the case and are essential for preparing for a settlement conference or trial. Now I'd like to share with you a few of my qualifications. I've co-authored and edited 10 textbooks, including 3 written for attorneys on nursing malpractice, nursing home, litigation, and pain and suffering. I've also taught several seminars for attorneys on a variety of medical topics, such as neck and back injuries, assessing damages, and medication errors. In 2002, I was elected as the president of the American Association of Legal Nurse Consultants. I hold a master's degree in nursing, which is rare among legal nurse consultants. Now that you've met me, I'd like to introduce you to the rest of our staff.
Hi, I'm Jamie Schultz. When you call us, you'll probably talk to me first. I help keep things running smoothly in the office. I've worked with Pat at MedLeague since 1996.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Heller. I manage MedLeague's accounting. I joined the company in 1995.
I hope you've enjoyed meeting us and receiving this brief overview of how we can assist you. For more information, you can also visit our website, which offers even more in-depth information about us and our services. Or just give us a call for a free consultation. We look forward to working with you.